Hello and welcome. One of the challenges that Nasscom addresses, or we all try and ask, is what can technology do to solve the real problems of India? Can it solve the real problems that the poorer people face, and how can it help them improve their lives? Joining me to answer that question is Nandan Nilekani, Chairman of the Unique Identification Authority of India. Thank you very much, Nandan, for joining us.
Thank you, Govt.
So, with the Unique Identification Authority, you've created or building the identity platform, which will solve a lot of issues which are to do with identity and authentication of that identity to deliver services.
That's
and
right.
so on. One is, can you tell us where things stand today, and then how is it building up from there?
Well, on the UIDAI Aadhaar front, we have already enrolled over 300 million or 30 crore people. It's now at about 310 million, and we issued Aadhaar numbers to about 270 million. So that is chugging along, and we do about 1 million a day, and we hope to do about 400 million by sometime in the middle of 2013 calendar, and 600 million by sometime in 2014. So that's the enrollment side. But the exciting thing now is the applications have started. The first major application is direct benefit transfer, where money can be credited to a bank account using an Aadhaar number. So this has been launched by the government in about 43 districts across a wide variety of schemes. So that will show us how we can use this technology to directly put money into anybody's bank account electronically and seamlessly. So I think all this will start showing the value of the ID, not just as an identity thing, but also as an app platform.
So what are the first lessons from all the experiences on ground that you're seeing?
Well, I think it's a major, this does involve a lot of business process reengineering or government process reengineering on the ground, because you have to have digitized lists of beneficiaries. You need to, right now they're distributed, they'll be in a taluka or a block, they have to be brought into one database. You need to seed the Aadhaar number into that to eliminate ghosts and duplicates. You need to open bank accounts, you need to link the Aadhaar number to the bank account. So there's lots of re-engineering that's required. But we think that once the re-engineering is done, which can be time consuming, I mean, it'll take time, then it just becomes one button away from sending money. So I think the fact that this in some sense also brings in the process engineering dimension, that's an interesting aspect.
Right. So money and cash transfers is one aspect of it.
Just one major app.
Right. What are the other applications that we could see, or rather you see potentially on the immediate horizon?
Well, I think another huge category of applications is the gateway services, because Aadhaar is a KYC to open a bank account, Aadhaar is a KYC to get a mobile connection, Aadhaar is a KYC to get apply for a passport, Aadhaar is a KYC to get an LPG connection, and so on and so forth. So when you do this KYC, which is the know your customer, where Aadhaar becomes the proof of identity and the proof of address, then suddenly it opens up a lot of things for the common man. So somebody who didn't have an Aadhaar number gets an Aadhaar number, he automatically in some sense become eligible to go and get the bank account. So that fact that at scale we can open up services as a gateway, that's a huge benefit. And now we have something we have launched called the electronic KYC, which allows you to do it completely in a paperless fashion. So you go somewhere, authenticate yourself, and ask the UIDAI to release your POI and POA, proof of ID, proof of address details to the bank. The bank opens an instant bank account. So the ability to do instant products, right, changes the whole game of how people access services.
So we've talked a little on the specific, which is the use of, let's say, a biometric identity to identify and then to authenticate for transactions. If you were to take a step back, what are the kind of areas that you still think technology can play a transformational role in this country?
No, I'm very bullish about what technology can do in India, because for a number of reasons. One is that I think the fact that we now have low-cost devices emerging, they're very, very sophisticated, right? I mean, you can have today very cheap smartphones or tablets, and they provide very sophisticated user interfaces. You have touch, you have gestures like Connect, you have voice like Siri and all. So suddenly the user interface has become very pro people. So even if you're not literate, you can use touch and voice and gestures. Yeah. So that's a big thing. The keyboard often was a divide. So that's gone away. And then you talk about looking at things like Akash, looking at mass production of low-cost tablets and phones. But in theory, we could think of putting this in the hands of everyone. And then I think connectivity, which is becoming more and more ubiquitous. First you had mobile, 2G voice, and then you had data, and then 3G, and now we have 4G coming. So you're going to see broadband ubiquitous connectivity along with a fiber optic backbone. The government, for example, is investing 20,000 crores on building the national optical fiber network, which will be the backbone to every village. So, and then of course the whole clouds, which are now becoming infinite sort of reservoirs of data, information, and knowledge. So you combine this, these clouds with this connectivity and a very
Devices.
powerful device in everybody's hand. Suddenly you have a new platform of really driving change and innovation and improving the lives of people.
And where, I can see that these are like many elevators all going up and meeting at some floor.
Yeah.
What's the timelines looking like? Where could it all meet, or when could it all meet?
No, I think we already talk about 134 million internet users, and people are talking about 250 or 300 million in the next few years. So that's one side of it, and most of it is going to be mobile. I think you will see more people investing in setting up cloud infrastructures and offering software as a service on the cloud. And projects like the Akash will essentially catalyze low-cost tablets, and so I think these are all things that will happen in the next 3 to 4 years. And then parallelly, so in some sense you have India, the digitization of India was happening in television. The whole DTH and digital cable, and then today those set-top boxes
and YouTube, like us.
And YouTube, and you have set-top boxes. But tomorrow all set-top boxes will be internet enabled, so then you'll have internet connection in every home. So this whole internet enabling digitization, devices, all this is essentially saying here's now these platforms getting created, which are going to have a huge impact.
And you also feel that this could actually drive or accelerate economic growth?
Oh, absolutely.
And incomes and
absolutely.
so on?
I'm firmly of the view that we have the opportunity to implement these technologies as they come. You don't have to wait. You can do it. It's launched somewhere. We can launch it in a few days. So it's actually a way of leapfrogging. You take the ID work that we do. We are taking a situation where we have people with no identity to having a digital identity. So it's not. In many countries you have paper identity, and then you have to take the paper to the digital. We are just saying no. We'll just take the guys from no identity to digital. So the fact that you can leapfrog is a huge part of this. So I'm I believe it's very strategic. It's not just a question of doing a project. It's a strategic way to drive development.
Right. So last question. A lot of entrepreneurs, companies are all looking at this whole thing, right? And not just the UID piece, but the three things that you just mentioned and how it's coming together.
Yeah.
What would be your message to them? How should they train their energies to create things that can actually do some of the, or rather meet some of the objectives that you've outlined?
Well, I think I think many possibilities. I think education is a huge. Education in the last 2 years has become very, very exciting. You have all kinds of startups in education. These MOOCs coming, content coming out. So I think there's a whole play in education. I think very exciting stuff happening in healthcare, where using the mobile phone as the basic device, you can now attach all kinds of things to it, and you can create very powerful
heartbeat monitor,
heartbeat or blood sugar, this, all that. So suddenly you're able to capture data at the point of healthcare, and then transmit that to the cloud and analyze it and send the results back. So healthcare, I think, is a big area. I think skills and jobs. I think using these technologies to accelerate skill development, English language learning, will accelerate people coming into the market of jobs. So all kinds of things are possible.
So Nandan, thank you very much, and all the best for the 600 million target that you've set for yourself.
Thank you, Govt, and all the best for your channel.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.